Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Derek Invest. I'm your host, Derek Miller. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to touch base on CrowdStrike. So I did a forecast a few weeks back, June 29th, when CrowdStrike was sitting down at about 375. I told you it was going to go to 388 and then reverse down to 355 by yesterday. Obviously, it's far exceeded the 355 price move down because of what happened last week. Now, the reason I want to touch on CrowdStrike is not to gloat, because if you follow me at all and you take a look at the charts that I post and you watch my live videos, you'll know that my accuracy rate is extremely high. Extremely high, because what I do transcends fundamental or technical analysis through indicators. I effectively identify the large footprints of large institutions. I simply monitor their cash flow, and then I know whether they are buying or selling, and I buy or sell right along with them. Now, with CrowdStrike, the reason I want to touch base on it is because it reminds me of COVID in 2020. What you saw with CrowdStrike, what it was you are able, forecasting an investment is a lot more than forecasting an investment. Okay. When you are forecasting different positions or different indexes, what you're also doing is forecasting in 2020, for example, a virus, the economy and the effect on that economy through a virus. And in 2024 with CrowdStrike, what we might be forecasting right now is the complete lack of efficiency when it comes to cybersecurity. We may be forecasting that. That is the leading company. They were by far the leaders in that area. And the reason I mentioned 2020 was because you could see immediately in April of 2020 that the major financiers and the major financial institutions of the world had zero fear of COVID. If those people have zero fear of COVID and zero fear of what it will do to the economy or market, you shouldn't either. Now, with CrowdStrike, let's move it forward to right now. With CrowdStrike, you should have fear over cybersecurity, because of the failure of last week. Failures happen, mistakes happen, things happen. But what you're seeing in CrowdStrike now is a complete dumping of that stock, right? I think it's sitting down at 263 today, and we're going to go do an evaluation. We're going to say, hey, is now a time to buy this company? Because a lot of times when things like this happen, they can be buying opportunities. The other thing they can be is falling daggers, and we don't catch falling daggers, right? We don't fight the trend. This has happened so rapidly, this may not be a trend at all. And that will answer the overall question. Is there any such thing as cybersecurity right now? And that should interest you. A lot of times people come to me and they talk to me about investments and trading. And what they don't realize is forecasting. What I do is far more. You could never trade an investment in your life. You could never purchase an investment. You could never trade a stock. And with what I do, I hold a lot of value to you. For example, if CrowdStrike PR team, which it doesn't seem that they've taken still much initiative, if they had someone like me on their team, I could have told them weeks in advance that institutional money is going to they are selling this stock. They are selling your company's position, right? If you didn't already know it, you could see that their position was being sold. You put the PR team out there, you get them pumping a few weeks in advance. Perhaps you can protect the value of your stock, okay? That even went back to COVID, right? I was helping a small business owner build out, at that time, it was a martial arts studio, turned it into a full-blown wellness center. Revenues up 400% during COVID. We managed to increase revenue by 400%. Everybody said we were crazy, that we would not pull off that business, because we expanded. We moved from a very small space to a very large space. We revamped the students that were going there. We revamped the entire target market, the pricing structure, the marketing strategy, everything during COVID. And the reason I had the confidence to do that was because I knew that there was going to be no long-lasting effect of COVID. How did I know that? The oldest rule in the book, everybody: you follow the money. When the money's afraid, like it was in 2008, 2009, you know you have a real problem. That was when, if anybody remembers, that was when we broke the buck in two money market accounts in the US. Total of 5 money market accounts exist. 2 of them we broke the buck, meaning they were under $1 in a money market account. One more, and it was chaos, mayhem, and we were fighting each other like cowboys and Indians in the street. So, point being, the reason I'm going to talk about CrowdStrike is because it has a lot more to do with the company. Just like COVID had a lot more to do than with a virus that was created by us using gain of function research in China. And this is all known now. There's no more, if anybody gets upset about this, first off, you get upset about this, go away, right? You want to find someone that's going to hold your hand and make you feel good. I'm the wrong guy. What has come out since then? We created it. It was gain of function research funded by U.S. tax dollars, and there was never any risk to the U.S. public. And I can tell you that the large financiers of the world knew that immediately. All right, not just the large financiers of the world, the top tier they knew what they were doing. Period. You can see that. I can see that easily. That for me, that's like a no-brainer because of what I do. Now, I don't care about COVID. I'm talking about an example of how forecasting had me build out a tiny strip mall martial arts studio into a self-contained, gated with 13 parking spots in the heart of Los Feliz. Build that out into a multi-million-dollar wellness center in the middle of COVID because I knew that there was nothing to fear. Cybersecurity, it is showing us that there's potentially something to fear there. So I want to go over CrowdStrike. The other thing I want to talk about is energy. So the funny thing, so since Joe Biden took the presidency, energy has been the overwhelming winner in the stock market. So I want to take a look at 5 traditional energy companies and 5 alternative energy companies and see what we see. The reason I said since Joe Biden has been president, just because that's been the last 4 years, everybody's on a political topic now. So I thought, why don't we look at the best performing industry, that's even a sector, the best performing sector, and then 2 industries within that sector as a fun day. All right, so on to CrowdStrike. Let's go take a look at what we see on CrowdStrike, because I will tell you that this is definitely something that you want to monitor as far as cybersecurity, because right now, what I see is we may not actually have cybersecurity, which can affect everything, right? That affects crypto. That affects everything that we do, right? But trying to push into this new digital age, if we don't have any level of cybersecurity, if things can happen like what happened last week, you go into this, you're leaving the power of the world in the hands of the few. And the few could even be just like rogue genius hackers, okay? They would have control of everything going this direction. It matters. So let's go take a look. And by the way, if you were working with a forecaster like me and you were CrowdStrike, you could have seen that institutions were selling you off. I mean, look, 388 to 355 is no small jump, even if it only hit there. And if you watch my live video, I said it looks like it should hit about 320. So if you say, what's 385 to 320? That's like 18%. That's a big hit, right? Forecasting can forecast economies. It can forecast industries. And in this case, cybersecurity, which is something that affects the entire global economy. The global economy is affected by cybersecurity now. Let's go look at CrowdStrike. All right. CRWD. And let's see what this thing tells us. So we're going to go to a monthly. Now, I want you all to remember something. We don't care what the news says here. All right? Media and bombarding people with propaganda is how things like 2020 happen. Most people, if they're bombarded with propaganda, it'll eventually get to them. They're going to believe it. That was nobody's fault. What do you think? That 1930s and 40s Germany was just packed with demons? No. They were overwhelmed with propaganda. It's nobody's fault. Propaganda works. It's been proven throughout history, right? The only way propaganda doesn't work is if you're used to it. Now, I happen to have spent 25 years in the financial industry. If you start bombarding me with propaganda, you send off 40,000 red flags. You don't get me scared. You make me really start questioning what's going on, which is partially what happened to me. So let's take a look. So here's Crowd, right? And this is a monthly basis. And here we go. That's this month. When you have very large bars coming off of a high price on high volume, and we still, don't forget, we have a little over we have a week to go as far as trading. So we'll see what happens with volume. My guess is it's going to match this volume back here, which sent price all the way up to whatever this is, 275, 280, 300. This is usually kind of a false signal, right? But because this false signal, meaning when you have a big move down on high volume from a high price, traditionally that's a fake out. And that company will traditionally recover within that month. And then this month here of July, price won't finish way down at the bottom. It'll finish somewhere here at, say, 320, maybe even up a bit like 345. Now, does that look like that's going to happen now? I don't know. Let's go zoom in. As you can see, what's taken place here has all taken place in the last week. Okay. Now, what's this week look like so far? What did I just say about that last the monthly hit? What did I just say about it? Well, I just said it would finish halfway up or at the top. Now, this isn't a month, this is a week. But is this a good indicator given the volume we're seeing? Well, looking at a weekly chart, yes, it is. And in fact, there's something else positive, that it came down to the previous high, and that is where you're getting that price bounce, meaning there's a lot of strength here. There's a lot of support here, okay? Again, strong news for the stock price. This big giant bar, which signifies price, giant price drop from a high price on what would be fairly high volume on this chart. I mean, since its existence, there's probably only half a dozen bars like last week. Bars meaning there's about half a dozen times, half a dozen weeks that you had the volume you had last week since the inception of this stock. This week is the highest by far since the inception of this company onto the stock market. So that's a big deal. That is a big deal. Let's zoom in a little more, because what we want to know is two things. Is there a genuine cybersecurity issue / fear, or was institutional money simply looking to buy this company up cheap again? I'll tell you right now, this gap right here at 336 is extremely suspect on a daily chart. Extremely suspect. I don't care what anyone tells you. Look at the volume from there to there. Look at that. Now, I understand the time frame we're working in, folks. I understand the events we're working within, okay? See this gap here? This is why I was so easily able to call 355. But I told you it would probably come down to 320 because that was the previous high. And as you see, we've come much lower. This stock is not doing anything right now. So let's be very clear about something. This stock is not doing anything right now that it wasn't poised to do. What do I mean by that? I mean, we didn't need a cybersecurity attack for this stock to go to the prices it's gone to thus far. And the volume that you're looking at is clearly institutional footprints. Institutions are all over this thing. Now, is it buying or selling? Well, when did institutions start stepping in? Here's your first one. This is how I knew price was going to fall. Look, so for someone who says there was no warning to this, I want you to look at volume on June 21st, 2024. I want you to look at this. And then I want you to tell me, hold on. Apologies. I want you to tell me there was no warning this was coming with a straight face. I want you to tell me that institutions were not aware on June 21st, when prices were at 380, that something was coming. I dare you to say that. Do you know how stupid you'll sound? Look at this. This is trading volume, everybody. This is activity. This is a high price, an extremely high price. It is still exceeding the volume we've had since the actual cybersecurity failure. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You can see all of this coming. The company should have seen this coming. Do they have a forecaster on board? Where was their PR team? How did the cybersecurity attack happen? That right there raises a lot of questions. I'll never forget. I see this. Look, I see this all the time. It's that is why I have the ability to keep my head clear when something happens. This is why you got my forecast. When I find things like this, you're getting a forecast from me, right? And a lot of times, this doesn't happen every day, but you can see how profitable it could have been for you if you would have been paying attention, or if you understood how this worked. Maybe you just thought, oh, that's just a fluke. If you watch me long enough, you'll realize there are no flukes, there are no coincidences. You can forecast. The accuracy level of the forecasting that you're capable of doing, if you know what to look for and identify institutional footprints, is ridiculous. And it doesn't matter what the fundamentals are. I have news for you. It doesn't matter. That's cash flow right there, folks. That's what that is. That's cash. Now, do you think cash is going into this company that's sitting at $400, having rallied from like $100, or do you think that's cash coming out? Use your heads. Institutions aren't buying after a price rises 400%. And here we are today. So this is just the beginning of today. This is a bounce. There's some buying 2 days ago, which were Wednesday. So there was some buying on Monday. Took another big hit yesterday. Looks like there was some buying again yesterday. And there's been buying this morning. Where's it up? 3.5%. Let's zoom in a little bit. What we want to know is, do we have a real cybersecurity issue here? Or was this something that this stock was poised to do? I would tell you right now, there's nothing that this stock price has done that you couldn't, that was not going to happen. What is happening right now was always going to happen. Okay. This is where it sits right now. 372.67. What can I do here? There, to get it, just so you can see the volume and get it off the price here. So you have a stopping point here. This is a previous high. Look at that gap. That's funny that it filled. I told you this gap would fill. This stock fills gaps. That's why. This is a gap. It fills. So you have all these gaps above you. You think they're going to fill? If this stock it has a history of filling, look at this gap right here. Oh, it filled. This is the gap that we were waiting to fill. Oh, it filled. And now you have a gap right here and here. So if I'm looking at this and I'm looking at volume and I understand how volume works, which I do, when you have huge screaming volume after a news event has managed to sink a price the way the price has been sunk here, and that's what this is. This is a news event, folks. We don't know how real or how scary this actually was. Here's another gap. We're on a 1 hour chart. See? There it is. I'm going to zoom in so we can see it a little bit. Now you have several gaps. As you look behind you, you can see that all gaps fill. It took a little time. What's the date here? This is June 10th. This gap did not fill until June 24th. All right. So 2 weeks. And then this is June 5th. And it didn't fill until July 19th. Oh, this is July. I'm sorry. July 17th. I think I just said June. It didn't fill till July. Obviously, it's July. So it took a little time. Let's zoom in. What do we see for CrowdStrike, everybody? You think those gaps are going to fill? Come on. Think. We're on a 30-minute chart now. Let's clear this. Does CrowdStrike, the company, have something to worry about? Is there an actual cybersecurity issue? Looks to me like somebody sunk the stock. So to see, I wouldn't have any fear. This wouldn't scare me. This price has gone exactly where it was always going. It didn't need a cybersecurity attack to do that. Not at all. You should, what's this, 289 or 269? CRWD, I would say 290. What's today's date? Today's the 23rd, 7/23, 2024. And then we have a target date of it's summertime. Usually this would happen much quicker, everybody, but it's summertime, so we're going to give this until the 30th. It shouldn't take that long. It should not take that long. It's the 30th. And there's games being played here, so sometimes that can really stretch things out. But if you just go out 2 weeks, that'll be this level, and then you'll be back at you'll be back up here. Wonder if I shouldn't move that. No, it's okay. I'm going to do this one first. All right. So I would say there is no cybersecurity threat. I don't know what happened last week, but this particular stock is not behaving in a way that I would say there was any threat at all. So let's just get rid of that and let's push it up, because where this thing's really going is right back to here. Let's call it 335. 335. We'll give this a target date of it's summertime. Volume just really dries up. Let's go to 8. Whoops. 4. We're going to go to 8. What's the date here? It's July 23rd. So we're going to say 2 weeks is probably a stretch. Let's just go to 23. There you go. There we go. And that's it for now. So if I were the PR of this company, I would know that the big institutions came in. They probably, most likely, this is a pickup of supply. You won't supply, meaning they wanted to buy more stock. They needed a bunch of people to sell their positions so they could buy more up. Because as I said, cybersecurity is going to be, I mean, it's going to affect the entire global community. So the global economy is going to be dependent on cybersecurity at some point. So is this company being bought up? That is most likely what's going on. What you'd want to do, and what I will do, is you want to monitor something like this. If you're trying to be extremely accurate, you want to monitor something like this. How does it behave when it gets back up here? What happens to the institutional footprint once price gets back up here at 375, 380? Because there's always a chance if they can get this thing back down to 100. If institutions could get this back down to 100 to buy more, they absolutely would at this point. And look, right now, that's the way this thing looks. Is it going to stay that way? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the long-lasting effect of this. I know we said we were going to get into energy today, but I think what we're going to do is I'm going to cut it off right there. We talked about CrowdStrike significantly. If I were CrowdStrike's PR team, I would be out there saying there's nothing to worry about. They have the glitch fixed, whatever supposedly happened. It looks to me like institutional money was just doing what they do. They wanted that stock. They wanted to buy more of it, and they wanted it at a cheaper price. That's what it looks like at this point. And so, how bad and dangerous was the cyber attack? I have no idea. Was it intentional? I have no idea. I'm not going down those roads. I can simply tell you because I don't care. It really doesn't matter, right? What matters is, do we have a cybersecurity issue? It doesn't look like we do. It really doesn't. It does not look like we have a cybersecurity issue. If we had a cybersecurity issue, I would say that stock would be sitting at $100 right now. It would have blown through all those levels. It didn't. If it's not blowing through those levels, it's because people are picking it up. So this is what forecasting can do, by the way. That's the breakdown of the CrowdStrike company. And that's with me. You don't need to know a lot in this world. when all you really need to know is if something's going on globally, if it's a global kind of issue, you're going to see institutions' footprints everywhere. Pop, 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 pop. They're making moves, believe me. They're buying, they're hedging, they're selling, right? They're going super long, they're going super short. Like there's a lot of activity, and that activity is generated. You can't hide that activity. Don't listen to this stuff about the dark this and the shadow that and the hidden this. It's right there. You can't hide it. That's why at 380, I saw CrowdStrike and I go, oh, I better do a forecast on this. This thing's going to get hit. I didn't know there was a. So when someone goes, you're lucky there was a cyber attack. Oh, am I? The news is used to push price where it needs to go. Price is predetermined. The news is just pushed at you to make it happen. That's all. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that goes for every industry and every stock and everything you look at. Because the people that are in charge, the people that run things, they know before you do. So I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory to say that when you're like, just a normal person living their life, that the people at the upper tiers have more information than you. If you think that that is a conspiracy, then I guess this is the biggest conspiracy theory on earth. But they have more information than you, and they act on it. The only people that are punished for insider trading are little nobodies or people that they want to put out in front to say, look, we're protecting you. But everybody's acting on the information they have at the top, period. And you can see it. It's not hidden. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sorry we didn't get into energy. I will either redo another video later today and get into energy, or I will do the energy topic tomorrow. But the CrowdStrike thing is really, really interesting to me, so I wanted to cover it. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, if you're not good up here, you're not good anywhere. Get outside today. Go for a walk. Smile. Fake it till you make it, baby. Yeah. You haven't failed yet. How do I know? Because you're still here. You're still going. And I don't think you're going to fail. And even if you feel like you are, look at your track record. You're batting 1,000, baby. You're still here. We all go through struggles. We all have problems. Okay? It's normal. I know if you look at social media, it looks like everybody's living the lifestyle of the rich and famous. I assure you, I'm out there and I follow the market. It's not lifestyle of the rich and famous out there. The job market is horrific. People cannot get hired. I think this new gig work economy is basically clickbait and data scraping at this point. Real, I'm not joking. It looks to me like that. So there's inflation is still through the roof, coming down, but barely. Income levels have dropped in the last 4 years. Inflation's up 24% in the last 4 years. And that doesn't include energy and food, which is probably a lot of the cost for you. So if you're going through all this stuff, we all are. Social media is a lie. All right. No one's living the lifestyle of the rich and famous except for the rich and famous. Just remember that. All right. You're not alone in this thing. Now, I'm not telling you that you should sit there and say, well, everybody else is going through it. No. Adjust in your life. Think of things you can do to try to correct the problem in your life, to try to fix this for yourself. But don't mess around up here, because what do we always say? Every day above ground is a good day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all.